Hello, welcome back. Today I would just like to give some insights or a review on the series Chosen, Season 4, Episodes 1 through 3. And for those who are not familiar with this series, Chosen is a series that illustrates the life of Jesus. And although there were flashbacks of his childhood in seasons 1 through 3, the storyline basically focuses on Jesus and his ministry. And there are many people may say that this series focuses only on the human side, but I would like to disagree. Now we know that Jesus was both human and divine. But when you look at this series, even though it's not verse by verse, it is not totally the Bible, I believe that there were things that were added to some of the characters to make them more relatable for us in today's time. But the message is still the same. And one of the things that I can see by watching these series is there's a message of forgiveness, restoration, redemption, faithfulness, and the very fact that they chose to focus a little bit more than some think that they should on Jesus being human than divine, it was only to make him relatable. Because when you look at the Bible, for some, reading the Bible is great, but when you're able to see it played out on the screen, it makes Jesus more relatable, and it makes it easier to understand the Bible and what they went through back in those days, and even to understand the things that we're challenged with today, and to see that they had challenges and Jesus walked with them, how he will walk with us as we go through our challenges. So him being human, more focused in this series, is not necessarily a bad thing, because now we know that he can relate to us, that the things that we feel, the emotions that we have, that Jesus felt those same emotions, but he didn't act on his emotions. That's the difference. And we have to get to that point that we don't allow our emotions to determine how we respond to adversities. So I would say that this is a great series to watch. In fact, if you have not saw seasons 1 through 3, it is a great series to binge watch, to bring you back up to speed so that you will be able to pick up in seasons 4. And one of the things that I did notice too, because I know that Jesus' part is always the most important part when you think about the Bible, because that's how we come to God. No man can come to the Father except through the Son. But when you think about the disciples, because sometimes God gives us an assignment and we don't think that we're good enough. And one good thing that they did in this series is showed us the flaws of the disciples. And even though that they had those flaws, as we can read when you read the scripture, that Jesus was still able to use them for his purpose, which is to build his kingdom. And I'm going somewhere with that, because oftentimes when God calls us or he gives us an assignment, we make up excuses, or we don't feel that we're good enough. We're not educated enough. We're not smart enough. We don't come from the right family. Or we don't have enough money. We don't have enough. There's always a reason why we feel that we cannot do what he has given us to do. And when you look at this series and you think about how it lines up with the scriptures, even though it's not verse by verse, and even though they may have added to the characters to make them more relatable, the storyline is still biblical based. And it shows us that we can be used by God. You think about Peter, who often, even when we read the scriptures and according to this series, who had a quick temper. But he was used mightily for the kingdom. And also there's a message of forgiveness, which is a message for each and every one of us today when you look at this series. So this is a much needed series for in the times that we're living in today. There are so much bad things that we watch on TV that may not even help us. But this series, even though there is sometimes violence, and there's violence in the Bible, there were parts in there that may be kind of hard for some people to watch, even though those kind of things happen and we don't really have any problems watching on other movies. But there's something that will enlighten us and help us on our path of holiness and our path of Christianity. And I would even go so far to say that this movie, it is not like a certain denomination. It's the story of Christ and how he came to redeem us. And even though he came to redeem us, it wasn't something that was a peaceful road that he walked. Even though he's for peace and he comes to bring us peace, that before we got that peace, that there are some things that had to take place on his way to Calvary. Because oftentimes in the church, we focus on the cross, but we have to remember that there was a lot that happened to Jesus before he even made it to the cross. He suffered before he died on that cross. And the life that he lived, even though it was to help us to be drawn closer to him, it was one of sacrifice. He sacrificed his life before he died on that cross because he had to live a certain way to be an example. So I will say that this movie is very enlightening. And it shows us that God has a purpose for all of our lives. Because when you think about all the disciples, and when you watch this movie, you will really think about each and every one of them. They had a purpose. He didn't treat them all the same. He didn't give them all the same assignment, even though the goal is the same for each and every one of us, and that is uplifting his kingdom. But he gave them what he knew that they can handle, and he's still doing the same for us today. So I would say that this series gets a thumb up. It is a must see, because I tell you, when I left there excited, motivated, and even though there is a drawback, the series, when you go to the theater, it is 3 hours long with a 5-minute intermission. But can I tell you this? It was such a great storyline, great acting, that I was not bored, and it was worth every moment, as well as the price or the cost to see the movie. And I just hope that this inspires you, first of all, to check it out for yourself. And when you do, drop me some comments below and tell me how you liked it. I did my best to not share with you too much of the storyline. I don't want to give it away. But when you have complete the series, don't forget to let me know your thoughts, because I would love to talk to you further about this series. Thank you for watching. Please do not forget to hit that like button, share, comment below, and subscribe to my channel. Talk to you soon. Bye.